Getting more updates now as West Asian war escalates. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has responded to Iran crisis, where he said, and I'm quoting, Australia is deeply concerned about any escalation in the Middle East. We want to see diplomacy, dialogue and de-escalation. Listen in.
The world has long agreed that Iran cannot be allowed to get a nuclear weapon, and we support action to prevent that, and that is what this is. The US action was directed at specific sites central to Iran's nuclear program. We don't want escalation and a full-scale war. We continue to call for dialogue and for diplomacy. We are deeply concerned about any escalation in the region, and we want to see diplomacy, dialogue and de-escalation. We've been upfront about the challenge facing the international community, that is, dealing with the threat posed by any Iranian nuclear weapons program and dealing with the risk of regional escalation. And that's why Australia called upon Iran to come to the table and abandon any nuclear weapons program. Iran didn't come to the table just as it has repeatedly failed to comply with its international obligations. We urge Iran not to take any further action that could destabilise the region.
And my colleague Akanksha continues to be with us on the broadcast. Akanksha, just break down the statement of Anthony Albanese for our viewers. And you were also mentioning about the Strait of Hormuz. How will this possibly go ahead and in fact change or go about talking about the relationship that various countries have with Iran, because so far that imploring upon that is happening from countries like Australia are for Iran?
Right, to begin with, as far as the Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese's statement is concerned, of course, it's very much on expected lines and in alignment with the wider West. That includes the European Union, the UK as well, because we've seen similar reactions come out. Keir Starmer also urging for dialogue and diplomacy, but supporting the US airstrikes. Even the EU High Representative Kaya Kallas said the same, that Iran cannot be allowed to develop nuclear weapons as it poses a significant threat to international security. But there should be room open for dialogue and diplomacy. And similarly, the Australian Prime Minister echoing those very sentiments that we want to see diplomacy, dialogue and de-escalation. But none of them are calling the US airstrikes or even the Israeli actions as a violation of the international law, as has been claimed by Iran. They are also, the Iranians are of the view that this is a violation of the UN Charter and that the IAEA is not doing its job because Iran was pursuing their nuclear program peacefully. So that's where the big difference of opinion lies as far as coming to the Strait of Hormuz is concerned. Will Iran be able to create that blockade? Because we said that primarily it derails their own economy. It will be an action which will be counterproductive to their own economy, given that it is an oil-based economy which is supplying 40 to 50% of the world's supplies through that Strait of Hormuz and the Persian Gulf, which is playing an important role. But that also means that if there is any blockade, it will lead to more traffic, say, via the Panama or the Suez Canal. And the world will start looking towards other countries like Russia, West African nations, as has already been done by India when it began to diversify its needs. When the first time under Donald Trump's previous regime, Iran was crippled with sanctions. So that is going to be very significant as far as the Strait of Hormuz is concerned. How Iran chooses to respond militarily, we can already see there's an escalation. You also played out that report by Rifat, which is highlighting how Israel is being attacked by a barrage of missiles, particularly central Israel is the target, including Tel Aviv. You see Haifa, their sirens being sounded ever since Israel began its airstrikes. So that's there. And then there's another very crucial option for Iran, which is to go ahead and attack the US military bases, which occupy close to 19 locations from Egypt, Qatar, Bahrain, UAE, Saudi Arabia. All of them are housing the US troops and military bases. So will Iran go ahead and attack these US military bases is another question.
Right, Akanksha. Thank you so much for